So you want to make Minecraft? Let's get started. So before we actually get to programming Minecraft on your Microsoft computer, the first thing we have to go over is, well, the basics of programming. In this episode, we're going to be covering the basic concepts of programming. We're going to talk about Karel J Robot, show how to set up everything to get ready to program, and then we're going to be doing some sample tests with Karel J Robot. So first question we want to answer in this episode is, what is programming on your Dell computer? Programming is basically the storage of data. I think at the simplest, if you break down programming, it is how you effectively store data in like logic with storing that data, all that jazz. So that leads us into the main thing of programming, which are variables. In Java, basically, well, any programming language for the most part, you're going to be using different types of variables, and we're going to be going over those different data types. The first data type is an integer or an int. That's going to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 10. In Java, it's shortened to int, like when you're talking about it in programming itself. This has to be a round number. There can't be any decimal points. The next variable type is a string. This, for the most part, just stores a word or like a sentence. Some examples are Fiverr, Flet, or Karel. Next thing is a float. These store decimal numbers like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.10. The next data type is a cooler float. It's called a double. That stores the same thing as a float, but it does it cooler. Then, of course, we have a triple, a quadro, a fivedol, and a sextol. The next thing we want to talk about is how you make variables in Java. The way you define a variable in Java is you have to follow this pattern. You have to first tell your dumb Apple computer what variable type it is. So if we're making an int, we would type int right here. Then we have a space and we have to name the variable. Let's say we want to name it car. And then once we have the car in there, we'll do an R space equals and then R space in the value, which we would fill in 10 if it's an integer. So now let's practice that. I know this might be a bit sudden, but you can see my first example and then maybe go from there. Feel free to comment down below your solutions for this practice. I would love to hear them. So let's first try to make a double that holds the value of your bank account balance. I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds. Pause the video, comment down below your answer, and it should look something like this. First, you have to put the data type, which is a double, then the name of the variable, which we're doing balance underscore amount, and then we have to do an equal sign, and then finally the value, which is $155. Next, let's try to make an int that holds the value of your social security number. Again, I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds. Feel free to comment it down below. If you commented the word int to define your variable type, you have to, of course, tell your dumb computer what variable you are using. And in this case, we're using an integer. You're going to want to put the name, which is SSN number. And then you're going to want to put your social security number right there as the value. And the last thing we want to do is we're going to try to make a string that holds the value of your mother's maiden name. Like I said before, please comment this down below. If you comment string, your variable name, which in this case, I have mother's maiden name, and then it equals Gerald. So these are like the basic foundation of how you define variables in Java. We're honestly gonna eventually get to like more advanced use cases of these variables in a future episode. But in this episode, just kind of keep this in the back of your head. This is gonna be important later on. Next thing we want to talk about is, what is object-oriented programming. If you ever researched Java before, you may have heard this term object-oriented programming. And I'm going to explain to you what it is. It's a bit confusing, but I think the best analogy is to think of object-oriented programming is kind of like a car. So when we're talking about a car has multiple functions, right? It's able to turn and move. In programming, we would call those methods. So let's say you put your foot down on the pedal of the car and that makes it go forward. That would be called a method in Java. That's something that the car is able to do. And so that's an object, basically. So this is a car object in Java. It has the methods of being able to move forward and turn. Objects in Java also can store variables. So let's say the amount of people in the car, that could be an integer value named people, and let's say there's two people in the card, then the value of the variable would be two. So kind of think about it like that. Object oriented programming is an object like a car. It's what the object can do and also what values it might hold. In this case, we're going to be using Karel J Robot as our visual aid. Programming can get a bit like, oh, it's just text on a screen, which we want to get away from when you're learning how to program. So we're going to be using a visual aid called Karel J Robot. This is how I originally learned how to program. I freaking love Karel J Robot, of course. So we're going to talk about what this amazing boy can do. We're going to go ahead and look at that. So Karel J Robot, Karel J Robot stores an integer number of beepers, which in this case would be 0 when we originally make him, and he's able to move and turn left. He's also able to do more stuff, but in this episode, we're mainly going to focus on that. So now we have to talk about getting everything set up. So what we're going to want to do is, first you're going to look up Java download. Just get Google Java download. Make sure you're on the official Java website. You click this button right here, and it downloads a .exe. You're just going to run that, and that's going to install Java on your computer. You probably will have to restart your computer after it to make sure that Java fully installs properly. Once you do that, you're going to also download something called BlueJ. This is an IDE. Don't worry about what that means. Basically, this is just a program that allows us to like actually write the programs and compile them. This is one of the best ones for beginners because of how the class layouts are. You can see in this picture, like we can see inheritance and stuff like that. Those are all words that you probably don't know what they mean. Like I said, don't worry about it for now. We're just keeping it basic, so do not worry about that. You're gonna want to click on what Dell computer your computer is like. I have Windows, so I would click on Windows and it would download an MSI. You would run the MSI, yada yada. And to install Karel J Robot, there's like a bunch of different websites that distribute Karel J Robot. I found this one, and on this website, if I click picture of Karel J Robot right here, I should have downloaded the jar. Let's go and check, and yep, there we go. So now that I have the jar, I'm gonna show you guys how to set up BlueJ and all that jazz. All right, so now that we're on my desktop, I have BlueJ right here and Karel J Robot distribution. I'm gonna open this up. We're gonna go ahead and find the Karel J Robot jar file. We're just gonna yoink that down onto our desktop. Now that we have that, we're gonna open up BlueJ. We're gonna make a new, so on BlueJ, yours might not look like mine. I've used it before to just kind of test out Karel J Robot and figure out everything for this video. But you guys should have a project button like this. You're gonna go ahead and hit project, new project. We're gonna name ours Karel's a bitch. I should have known better. And once you do that, we're gonna hit OK. So we made our project now. This is where all of our Java files are gonna be stored on your NVIDIA computer. We're gonna go ahead and make a new class real quick. So if you don't know what a class is basically just where our code's gonna be stored in Java. We're just gonna call this first program. That seems pretty good to me. So kind of a rite of passage for programming. So by default, BlueJ is gonna have all this random crap. We don't have to worry about it. Just delete it. Delete all of it actually. Okay, so now that we delete all that crap, we're gonna be writing our first program. A rite of passage for all programmers is to make the computer print out hello world. The way we do that in Java is first we're gonna have to make our main runner of the program. We're gonna do that by typing public static void main. So this is gonna be our main function of the program, and we have to give it an argument for it. Don't worry about this at all. Honestly, don't worry about any of this at all. Just know you have to put something like this at the start of your program. We'll eventually go over in a future tutorial what that actually means, but for now, don't worry about it. And these brackets right here, this is where all of our code is that we want to run with the program. So to make our program print out hello world, in Java, we're going to want to do system.out.println hello world. I'm actually not going to be able to run this program because I don't own a printer. So if you do own a printer and you run this program right here, this should print out hello world. Like I said, if you don't own a printer, then this isn't going to work. So yeah, that's kind of our first like program. Next, we're going to show you how we implement Karel J Robot into BlueJ. So to do that, we're going to want to go to Tools, Preferences. you're going to want to go to libraries. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. You're going to go libraries. You're going to want to go add file. You're going to find where you have that Karel J Robot jar file. I have it on my desktop. We're going to double click that. It's going to load in. We're going to hit OK. We're going to have to hit OK again. Make sure you guys save your program. You're going to have to relaunch BlueJ to have Karel J Robot loaded. So we're going to relaunch BlueJ. Once it's relaunched, we're going to go to tools and preferences and libraries again. And as we can see, we have Karel J Robot jar loaded. So now that we've done that, we're going to actually be able to use Karel J Robot in our Java programs. We're going to go ahead and make a new class. We're going to call it first Karel. Go ahead, open that up. You're going to want to delete all of this crap again. You want to delete all of this. Okay, so now that we delete everything in the program, the first thing we're going to have to do is import Karel J Robot. The way we're going to do that is we're going to type an import statement. We're going to type import Karel the robot dot and then asterisk and a little semicolon. So now that we have this statement at the top of our program, we're going to be able to use Karel J Robot in our program. Next thing we're going to make sure to do is we're going to want to type here implements directions. So what this does is this allows us to type east, and the computer will know what east is. That's all what this statement does. We're gonna get into why this is important later, but yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this. We're gonna type public static void main string arg, just like that. That's what we did in our other program. We're gonna do the brackets, and boom. So now we can actually write our code. So how do we get Karel J Robot to show up on our screen? That's a very important thing that we're gonna want to do first. So to do that, we're going to want to type first world.set visibility true. This is going to make like the Karel J Robot world actually show up. And then we're going to want to do world.set delay to 30. This just is the frames it takes for Karel J Robot to update. That just makes it move faster. And if we did that all correctly, if you go ahead and right click on your first Karel program, hit void string main and hit OK, this should appear right here. So this is the Karel J Robot world. And as you can see, it has fully loaded in and it's beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and now write the program. Now we're going to write more code to have Karel J Robot show up on screen. Okay, so now that we have that, to make Karel J Robot show on the screen, we're going to be writing a line of code. This is going to be creating our Karel J Robot object. So as we talked about earlier, objects are kind of like the cars. It has different functions that we're going to use. And in this case, Karel J Robot is actually called a UR robot. This is a object variable type. So think about earlier how we had int name value. This is how we make an object variable type. So we're going to have a UR robot named Karel, and we're going to do equals new UR robot. This is telling Java that we want to make a new UR robot object. We have to tell the program where this Karel J Robot is going to start. We're going to start at free. We want him facing east, so that's why we had to implement directions earlier. Now we can do have Karel J Robot face east, and then finally we have to tell the Java how many beepers we want Karel to start with. In this case, he's going to start with 0. And if this line of code works properly, if we run this, bing, boom, Karel J Robot is right there. We're going to go ahead and change the code a bit because I want to show off what else he can do. We're going to have him start at 5, 9. So we're going to go back into our code and have him start at 5 and 9. So if we update that value, Karel J Robot should move right over here. As we can see, he's at 5 and 9. So now that we've done that, let's kind of show off what Karel J Robot can do. So one of the methods we talked about that we are going to be using in this episode is turn left. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to call our Karel object, our UR robot Karel object. We're just going to type Karel.turn left. We're telling the robot to turn left. And if we do that and open up the program, we should see that Karel turns left. We're going to go ahead and have him do that again. So when we run this program, Karel should turn left twice because we're telling him to turn left twice. Go ahead and run the program. And as you can see, Karel has turned left twice. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to update this delay to be 100. We just want to see Karel J Robot kind of move a little bit slower so we can visualize fully what we're doing. We're gonna use the move command. We're gonna make Karel move once. Let's go ahead. We have the delay at 100 now, so Karel should move slower, and we can really visualize what he's doing. So he's gonna turn left once, turn left twice, and then move. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a loop statement. So this is a fundamental principle of Java, is a loop. We're gonna be making Karel J Robot basically repeat the same action multiple times. So we're gonna use a while loop in this episode. We're just gonna type while true. We're gonna need some brackets, and we want to say while true, all Karel is gonna do is turn left. So this code is gonna make Karel J Robot turn left and spin in a circle constantly. You go ahead and run that. As we can see, Karel is spinning left in a circle constantly. The next thing we want to show off is what happens when Karel crashes into a wall. When Karel crashes into a wall, he should commit error shutoff. So to do that, we're going to do turn left twice, and then our while statement is just going to be move. So now we're going to go ahead and run the program. Karel should turn left twice, and then he should start moving. And theoretically, he's going to hit this wall right here and commit error shutoff, and he should hit that wall shortly, and he's going to keep... Where's he going? Is he going into my super secret folder? Okay, wait a minute. Let's open up the super secret folder, and oh, he committed error shutoff inside of my super secret folder. Okay, that's strange. Okay, cool. So that shouldn't have happened. I'm gonna try reinstalling Karel J Robot, and we're gonna go from there. All right, so we just reinstalled Karel J Robot. We're gonna try run the program again. Okay, what the fuck? He's literally doing a little dance now. What the hell? Okay, maybe the Karel J Robot distributor that I downloaded it from wasn't the most credible. I'm gonna try reinstalling it again, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We're gonna go ahead and try to run this program again. As I said before, you should turn left, move into the wall, and then commit error shutoff. I do want to preface with Karel J Robot can only turn left. He doesn't have a turn right method. So let's go ahead and run the program. Like I say, you should turn left twice and then move and crash into the wall. What the fuck? He just turned right. Okay. Okay. So maybe Karel J Robot isn't the best aid. Maybe where I downloaded it, it wasn't the best, but I think this is a good place to end off the first episode. Thank you guys all for watching. We're gonna have episode 2. We're gonna talk about loops, sloops, and dupes. So make sure you stay posted for that. If you guys made this far to the end of the video, make sure you do like and subscribe. That's greatly appreciated. And stay programming out there. Cool people, cool, good looks, good people. Goodbye, America.